Hey guys, today I want to talk about the Philippines, and a lot of people have this misconception about the wealth of the Philippines, and there is a lot of wealth in the Philippines. The Philippines is actually a very rich country in resources and timber and gold and rubber and food, fish, many things. It has coconut oil, coconuts. There's so much stuff in this country that it is wealthy with, and there's billions and billions of dollars to be had. It's the people that are mostly the poor people. I was watching this TikTok video about this the other day, and the guy was correct. He says the people are poor because they're exploited, and it's really true that the world does kind of exploit the Filipino people when you think about it. I mean, cruise ships use them because they're cheap labor. Other countries use them because they're cheap labor. The Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and many other countries also they use the Filipinos because they're cheap labor. Everyone in the world kind of uses them because of the fact that they're cheap labor. And when people are short on manpower, a lot of times we look to the Philippines. Think about this: when the United States military needs soldiers or Navy sailors or what have you, guess what? Before they used to look to the Philippines and grab people and offer them citizenship if they served in the military. And it was actually a good trade-off actually for the Filipinos because they got benefits. Their families could go to the U.S. They could get a retirement, and it was a really good trade-off for the Filipinos. So I wouldn't say that that was like an exploitation of the Filipinos as far as the U.S. military, but it was actually good use to them because they actually served the U.S. and we actually helped them too. Because the U.S. looks at the Philippines as a place that we need, and the Philippines kind of looks at the U.S. as we need the U.S. for protection and also for helping things. But the Philippines has so much to offer, like in oil and stuff like that. And a lot of this wealth, what happens is some companies come in here and they exploit the Philippines. They get a lump sum of the profits. They get almost too much of the profits. So a lot of it gets siphoned off before the Filipinos even get to touch that money. And it's kind of sad because of these wealthy oil barons and things that come in here, and they really do kind of exploit this. And then you have these people that are food services or food companies or whatever, and they come in here and they exploit the sugar cane because of the cheap labor here. Cheap labor is exceptionally cheap when you get down to farmers. It's even below like restaurant workers. Farmers work for almost nothing. They literally almost work for nothing here in the Philippines. So the wealth here is basically for the capitalists and the other people out there in the world that are looking to this country to, hey, what can I get out of the Philippines? Can I, rum, sugar, coconut oil, gold, copper, tin. There's a lot of things to be had here in the Philippines that a lot of people don't know about. And when you think about it, it's all exploited. And the people, that's why the people don't have a lot of wealth here. And it's kind of sad here when you watch people here because, people have this mentality of, like, if somebody starts a business in their neighborhood here, it's kind of funny to watch sometimes. As far as prosperity here in the Philippines, the way people look at it and think about it. If somebody sees a store, let's say they start a sneaker store, and they see that guy's making a lot of money, they'll open up one almost right next to it or on the same street or something to dent that guy, and then the guy has to bring down his prices more, and then both of them are actually taking a lot less in profits. So it hurts everybody. They kind of like it's a dog eat dog world, in the Philippines here when it comes to businesses, because I've seen businesses start up here, and as soon as they start up, they shut down. I see these like mango tango things, and I love mango tango. It's one of my favorite drinks here. It's a mango drink with ice cream, and it has whipped cream on top of it, and it's just a really good drink. And I see these businesses around, and they usually don't stay open that long, and there's more than one company that does it, but Mango Tango was one of the ones that I noticed around here. And I noticed they put them up in a mall, and they're there for about 3 months, and then they close down. And I'm not quite sure why, because they're kind of popular, but it might be because of the fact that as soon as they put one up, somebody else opens one down the other end, or they put one, or a store will start selling something that's very similar, like a mango shake or something like that, and it's so similar that it cuts off that guy, and what they do is they make the price really really low. Like up here, up the street up here, we have a restaurant up here, and they have mango drinks there, and then down the street they're like double the cost, you know. And I'm not going to mention the names of the places because I don't want to hurt their business or what have you, but it's double the cost of the mango shakes, and that smaller business is going to dent that other business because people are not going to go to a place just because it looks nice or anything like that. They're going to go to the cheaper place here because Filipinos work that way. They go to the cheaper place to buy their food or whatever. And in the Philippines, where people are make less money here, here's one of the things also, is instead of going to a new store and getting new clothes all the time, they'll go to the ukay store where you can still get decent clothes or fairly new clothes, or sometimes even new clothes that were returns at a place like Target or Marshalls or some of the mall merchandise that gets returned or whatever. You know, they throw it in a box and then they wrap it all up and they sell it to some foreign country like the Philippines. And what they do is they open up that box, they take all the decent clothes out of there, and they sell it at the ukay store, which is just a second-hand store. And it's kind of cool to see the way things work here in the Philippines. And for people retiring over here, we get to benefit a lot from that constant people going against each other. They just, you know, it's kind of cool to see that. Like I said, they compete with each other, and we as expats and people that live here in the Philippines, we make out from that. In the United States, you have a little bit of that. You have that competition, but I don't think it's as much in the United States as it is here, because here I'll see a McDonald's open up and they're franchises, and the McDonald's will open up, and I notice over in Alabama they opened up a Burger King right next to it. Now that happens in the U.S. sometimes too. If they're watching the McDonald's and they're counting the people going in there saying, hey, I could take half this business and possibly even a little bit more, you know what I mean? Maybe we'll attract more people to this area because of the fact that I'm going to put a Burger King up here or whatever. And they do that here almost till they kill off the business. You know, then they'll put in like a Wendy's there or something like that. It's kind of strange the way things work here, because I walk to the malls, and you walk through at lunchtime, and some malls are really busy because they're in the middle of the city or whatever. And then you go over to places like Alabang, and at lunchtime you'll walk through a mall over there. Like certain malls, there's not a lot of people that live around there. And you'll walk through there at lunchtime, and you'll walk by like a restaurant like Rax. And Rax is a decent restaurant. It's a little bit like, it's a rib place. It's not a fancy place. They have blue plate specials and stuff like that. But when you walk by there, it's always empty. You know, it's not full. And you would think that for a restaurant like that, it would, you know, at lunchtime, because they have the decent prices, then they have high prices for higher priced food, but the food is always good there. And I noticed that, you know, they're empty a lot. And then you wonder how these places survive. And every once in a while, when you see some of these businesses, and I'm not just talking about Racks, I'm talking about businesses in general, you'll see them and they close up. And then you get American businesses here where there are, like, let's say a Subway or something like that. Subway does really, really good over here. And it's kind of surprising because people really don't like sandwiches too much here. But I do notice there's people that have been, that Filipinos that have been to the U.S. tend to go there because you can hear their English is a little bit better, or you see Chinese people going there, or other people from other countries going there because they're used to eating sandwiches. So it's great being able to walk into like a Subway or a place like that, and those places tend to do really, really good. I mean, and there's not too many other companies or businesses out there that have a sub business over here in the Philippines. There's almost none. You know, so Subway does really, really good. You know, the Philippines is ripe for businesses over here, but you have to know what type of businesses. You know, I was talking with a gentleman the other day, and I'm not going to tell you what the business was that he was talking about, but it happened to do with the elderly a little bit, okay? And it's a business idea that a lot of people should look into over here. And I was really kind of shocked when he was telling me, and I was like, wow, this is really, really, that's really smart. Because I had thought about this before, but of course I don't have the money to start up something like that. But this guy apparently does. And it was like, wow, that's genius. You know, and I see so much over here, and where the price, the cost of an employee over here is relatively low. There's so much you could do if you have the wherewithal and the know-how to do it. You could really open up some good businesses here. I mean, I see people that want to work with expats over here and help expats, and I do that. You know, you guys know I do that for free pretty much. That's a place where you could do some business. But I notice over here that there are people, and they're exploiting the expats over here because there's nobody else going up against them. But our group does kind of go up against them. There's a couple of agencies out there, you know, that are doing visas and stuff like that, and they're charging people exceptionally. They're charging people like a lot of money for little to no services. It's relatively easy for them to do that work. I mean, you could have somebody do it for, you know, like $300 or $400 or something like that, and some people are doing it for that. But these other companies are just soaking the expats because they have nobody to go to. No, they don't know. A lot of the expats don't know how to do the paperwork, or they don't want to do it, or they're too lazy. In the United States, let's face it, a lot of the things we get it gets catered to us as we get older and stuff like that. People will help us, or we get things done. They offer services for the elderly, things like that. Over here, you don't get that. You have to pay for it, you know. And those are services that I think if you opened an expat community over here, you could do a lot of stuff with that. And also for, you know, I notice over here that Grab, which is an Uber type business, is an incredible business that makes a lot of money and puts a lot of people to work. But you know, a lot of these companies that like that are app type companies really don't pay much to the people, and you should be tipping these people a little bit when you use these services, because they get, you know, they get money taken off their money. You know what I mean? It's kind of sad watching what happens with these companies and the way they use people, the way they exploit their health, because the pay is so little. These people that are working for these companies, they make so little. You have to really, you know, bust your ass to really make a few bucks. You know, and it's kind of sad to see the pay that people make over here. But people make it here simply because of the fact of the low rents. The fact that they eat rice helps them also immensely. But when you know, the other day I was watching somebody and they were talking about how one of their relatives got sick, and I think it was a YouTube video, and they were saying that it cost several $1,000s to get them out, and they had to sell off their car or something like that. And I also heard another story just recently where somebody is going to have to sell a house. You know, and I hear these stories quite often, because that's the way Filipinos pay their bills, by the way. And you know, that's why when you come here, you need insurance and stuff like that. It's something that will make or break you over here. But you know, I just want to talk about this today. I thought it'd be an interesting subject about the wealth of the Philippines, and the Philippines is really wealthy in its people, not just monetarily, but also the people have a richness of heart too. And that richness of heart is the biggest thing that the Philippines has. That they really have a big heart and welcoming heart, and a heart to teach people and to show people things and to help people. One thing I can honestly say here in the Philippines that I love about the Philippines is the heart is their wealth. Their heart is their wealth. They carry their wealth in their heart, you know, and I think that's more important sometimes than prosperity is, in all honesty, because these people carry something in them that keeps them surviving. They're survivors no matter what, no matter how much they get exploited. I mean, they've had the Spaniards exploit them, they had the United States exploit them, the British exploit them, the Japanese exploit them, and yet they keep on rolling. And they're a forgiving people too. They're not these people that want to go back to these people and say, well, you owe me reparations or something like that or whatever. You know, they're very loving people and forgiving people in that, and I think part of that is the fact that it's a Christian nation. I mean, it's a very Catholic nation, but they also have very forgiving hearts in them, and that's the biggest part that I love about the Philippines, is the heart and the forgiveness factor that they have. A lot of them have forgiveness. You know, I mean, it's changing. The Philippines has changed a little bit. It's gotten a little bit more westernized. People have gotten a little bit more away from their religion, and that's a bad thing, I think, for the Philippines. but you know something, I hope that they don't lose that in you know, in their hearts and stuff, because as we progress in this world, and so, I don't know if it's if it's progress or regressive. Sometimes I think it's regressing. You know, by these people are giving up their religion because of they're taking on Western values, and you know, I hate to see that sometimes, because I like seeing the Philippines stay the way it is, and hopefully they do. But there's so many countries and corporations that want a piece of the Philippines that it gets kind of scary sometimes. It makes you wonder what the future is for the Philippines. And I hope that the Filipinos open up their eyes when they make business deals, and they say, you know what, we're not going to let you exploit us. You know, we want more, and we're not going to give this up to you. Give us more. We want more. You can make something, but you're not going to exploit us and rape our lands. You know, it's just like the Indians. You know, the Indians had these great lands that had lots of stuff like oil and all kinds of things on them. And what we did was we moved them to the desert. You know, and we moved them in the United States. I'm talking about, you know, the Indians. We moved them, and you know, in the Philippines, I kind of think of them as like the Indians, because I think sometimes they're kind of naive. I think there are people here that are waking up to that, and I applaud those people for standing up to outside capitalists and taking care of their country. And I've seen some of the politicians lately, especially the most recent one, the president. He has really come into his own skin in a really good way with the United States, I think, and I see him really standing up for the Philippines in a lot of good ways, and I'm really kind of proud of that guy, because as somebody that lives here now, I might not be a citizen here, but I'm proud of him because he represents this country so well. And I can kind of consider myself a citizen here now, because I've lived here for 5 years now, and I see that as a good thing. I see the United States coming back in here and protecting this country. And I'd hate to see some country like China or any other country come in here and really take advantage of the country. And they already are to a certain extent, and so aren't some other countries taking advantage of the Philippines. But I think the Philippines are kind of waking up to that, and I think they're getting more representation and better representation through Marcos, and you know, that's a good thing. I didn't know what to expect in the beginning, and I've seen some good things because of him coming in here. I'm not saying he's perfect. I'm just saying I've seen some good things. Let's hope things keep going that way, and hope there's no bad things going on behind the scenes. But I like the guy. I think he is doing a good job compared to, you know, what we had in some of the past presidents here. And I'm not putting them down. They have good and bad, of course, too. There was good in all those administrations, and there's bad, just like in the United States with Biden or anything. So I don't want to have people think I'm playing favorites here or anything. I'm just talking about what I see currently. But anyway, guys, God bless. Take care. I hope you enjoyed today's show. It's kind of interesting. I hope you share in the comments too what you know your thoughts about. Do you think that the people of the Philippines get taken advantage of? What do you think? What are your thoughts on that? Do you think that that it's okay for other countries to come in here and make money as much as they do and exploit the Filipinos? Do you think they're getting exploited? Maybe you don't. You know. Anyway, guys, God bless. Take care, and be sure to make some comments. God bless.